Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here are my presentation slide about my final year project 1, which is about analysis on partial discharge within a void in a polymeric insulation. Firstly, I will introduce myself. My name is Nurul Syamimi binti Zakaria from BEKG section 2. My supervisor is Madam NIZA binti RAMANI, and my panel Dr. Muhammad Syahril bin Ahmad Kiar and Professor Madya Dr. Hidayat bin Zainuddin. This is the outline of my presentation slide, which consists of introduction, problem statement, objective, scope, literature review, methodology, conclusion, and reference. This is my introduction of my project. Basically, my project related to polymer insulation and partial discharge. What is polymer insulation? Polymer insulation is an electrical device consisting of insulation section made of polymer material and metal fitting, while partial discharge is an electrical discharge that occurs between two conducting electrodes within a localized region of the insulation. The partial discharge process occurs in electrical equipment submitted to high voltage stress. It represents the dielectric breakdown of an electrical insulation. So this is my problem statement of my project. First, partial discharge usually occur at cable joint and termination in high voltage cable. Second, continuous partial discharge degrade the insulation material, which ultimately lead to insulation breakdown. Third, partial discharge usually be experimented or be tested on site, so there are some difficulties on handling the experiment. Third, usually partial discharge always occur at SLPE type of cable. So this is my objective of the study. First, to model insulation sample by mathematical equation. As I already mentioned before in problem statement that PD always usually be tested or experimented on site, so they have some difficulties on handling it. So we convert it to simulation. Second, to create a void in the insulation. Third, to analyze the performance of partial discharge within void. And lastly, to compare the different material used in insulation since it's always been tested on SLPE material. Here are my scope for this project. It consists of finite element method by using differential equation. Other than that, my project will be using different material except SLPE such as polyethylene and polypropylene. Third, my project will analyze the partial discharge of void cavity by using MATLAB software. And lastly, my project will be modeling, simulating, and comparing different samples of cable. So this is my summary of my literature review. Consists of 5 articles that I have been go through in my study. First, I will classify each of article into how the article used formatted and the type of software they use, the insulation material, and lastly the conclusion. First, I will talk about the first article, which is about measurement and simulation of partial discharge activity. The method using by this article is they consider a measurement of PD activity within an artificial cylindrical void within a 22 kV. They will be using a COMSOL multivisit software to simulate it. The insulation material of this article is they using an SLPE cable insulation. The conclusion of this article is under AC applied voltage, the PD pattern are not symmetrical between the positive and negative cycle. Secondly, about analysis of degradation mechanism of silicon insulating containing spherical cavity using partial discharge detection. The method of this article is they experiment on PD behavior for spherical air-filled cavity. So they still using a software which is COMSOL multivisit to simulate it, and the type of material using in the experiment is silicon rubber and hardener. The conclusion of this article is PD behavior during electrical aging by internal PD inside a spherical cavity of the silicon sample can be examined to clarify the cause of its total failure. Thirdly, about the application of partial discharge monitoring to impulse damage polymeric insulation. The method using by this article is they describe some PD tests. So they will be doing the experiment, and the voltage will limited to 22 kilovolt or less. So they doesn't using a software since they using an experiment. The insulation material by this article is polypropylene, LDPE, Torlon, UHMWPE, and Resolite. Part is about a partial discharge modeling with increasing applied voltage across different void size. So the method of this article is the analytical study and simulation. So the software using by this article is EMTPRV and MATLAB Simulink. The conclusion of this study is applied voltage play an important role in the change of the PD discharge occurring in an insulation system. Lastly, the article about modeling and investigation of insulation defect by partial discharge in high voltage SLPE cable. The method of this article is develop a mathematical model by using a 50 Hz AC voltage, and the range of the voltage is about 5 kV to 20 kV. The software using by this article was MATLAB Simulink, and the material using by this article is 11 kV SLPE insulated power cable. So this is my methodology part, which is consists of flow chart. First, I will determine the parameter of cable, that what type of cable I'll be used. Then I'll be doing a sample modeling of the different type cable I'll be used, which is polyethylene and polypropylene. Then I will inject the different void size at the cable. After that, I will run the finite element simulation. Then after I run, I'll be comparing the data analysis between the two material I'll be using. When I satisfied with the result, I'll be evaluate the case study. But if I not satisfied, I'll be doing again the simulation. So this is my Gantt chart for final year project. Here is I'll be classify it to final year project 1 and final year project 2, which is consists of each final year project have a 14-week duration. So this is the task of the project, consists of FYP briefing, registration, literature review, and so on. The color represent in this Gantt chart will be different since the green is already done, the yellow is still in progress, and the red is my future work. So here are my conclusion. As a conclusion, any of void occur at any different type of cable will lead to the partial discharge. This is the reference that I'll be referring, which is consists of 5 articles as I summarized it in the literature review before. So that's all for my presentation slide for final year project 1. Thank you.